Welcome back for another edition of Camp Dolphins All Access. Mike Cunio alongside John Kinjemi. We are on what feels like the surface of the sun out here.
You're right.
On the practice field. John, let's start with what we saw today, and let's start with quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Fans treated to a little wiggle from QB1 today. What do you notice out of the changes he's got? Because he's using his feet a little more.
Well, speaking of hot, Tua was hot today, and I thought he had an excellent practice. He's had an excellent camp so far, Mike. Mm-hmm. And the thing you notice, yes, he's trimmed down, but he still has a great base. His feet work well in the pocket, but he has the ability to tuck the football down and get yards. There was a lot of third down situations today where the pressure got into the pocket. Tua was able to elude that pressure, step up, find some room, and maybe move the chains for a first down. I think that's going to add to problems for opposing defenses because last year you didn't see a whole lot of that. And I think it's going to add to what he can do from the pocket and outside of the pocket. So, Tua's movement, his twitch is still there, and his accuracy, most importantly, has come with the reduced, maybe streamlined looking of number one out on the field.
Yeah, if you were a fan in attendance today, you saw the Tua takeoff live in action. It's fun to see how his game, even though he got that $250 million deal, or $212 million, excuse me, it's still evolving out here. Speaking of evolving, let's talk about the defense because I think that defensive back group is evolving. We saw Kendall Fuller and Cam Smith. They were both on the sideline today getting work done. Looks like they're dealing with some injuries still. But that gave way for Ethan Bonner to step up and play with the ones today.
And it was a great opportunity. You never know when those opportunities in camp, no matter what position group we're talking about, your number's going to get called. Mm-hmm. And Ethan's number was called today, and I thought he did a really good job. I think that defensive backs, the biggest issue they're going to have is the movement in this defense this year, where you've got multiple guys that are playing different positions and still being expected to know where to go. And sometimes the defense is going to win because of that. Ethan Bonner had a couple of nice plays today, but there was also some chances where you go zero coverage, which is man-to-man, no one in the middle of the field, and Jalen Waddle's going free down the middle for a big 60-yard touchdown. Right. So you hit and miss when you gamble on defense, and I think both sides, it was about 50-50 today. There was a couple of touchdowns that way, but there was also a couple of sacks and a couple of pressures and a couple passes batted down, and Ethan Bonner was right in the middle of that.
Let's talk about some of those touchdowns. I think the young running backs have really shown out through the early parts of camp. What did you see from Devon Achane that we've come used to seeing at this point, but also Jalen Wright?
Speed, quickness, acceleration through the hole. I see that with Jalen Wright especially. We know what Achane can do, but Jalen Wright going in between the tackles, you don't think he's going to come out the other side. Well, he does, and he does with authority. And I think more reps that he gets in training camp, especially in the preseason games when things are a lot easier than practice against the same 11 guys and knowing what you're doing and your tendencies. I think he's going to have an opportunity in these preseason games to really show his speed, but to show how he can get those tough yards in between the tackles as well.
Yeah, he ran between the tackles, really in between the guards today for a touchdown right up the middle. The offensive line certainly appreciated. They were throwing up their hands.
That's right.
They were throwing up their hands celebrating. You mentioned kind of the monotony of training camp. Some of the assistants mentioned it today. A lot of people looking forward to those joint practices against the Falcons starting next week right here outside Hard Rock Stadium. That's going to do it for another edition of Camp Dolphins All Access. I'm Mike Cunio for John Kinjemi. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.